Perfect. All right. Well, welcome back. It's good to see the ones that are repeating, and welcome to everyone that's joining us for the first time. Today, we're going to talk about prompting within an LLM and what it means, why it's important, and how to do it in a structured format. So let's dive deeper. So, like I said, we're going to be learning how to direct the intelligence, which within an AI system, which we call prompting, and it's called prompt engineering. So today is not about learning like tiny tricks here and there, but we'll actually learn how to communicate with the AI system, the AI brain. And before we get started on prompting, I also want to walk us through the AI brain and the system. So we have the brain, which is typically the LLM. Then we have the memory, which is RAGs. If you recall from last class or last few classes, RAG is documentations, things that you can upload into your LLM. Then we have tools. These are external tools that your LLM, your workflows, your agents have access to. Then we have agents itself, which are the operating system. And then we have us and you, and we are the ones who get to direct how the entire system operates. And it's primarily through prompting, unless you're building your own AI system from scratch. So again, we'll learn how to how to use AI systems so it thinks and performs just the way we need it to. Moving forward, we have what is prompting and then why it's important. And it's important to understand this because it's really misunderstood sometimes. So I want to start off by clarifying that prompting is not typing a sentence into an LLM. For example, saying something like, compare this, or tell me about XYZ. I mean, you can certainly do that, but the proper way to communicate with your AI in your role would be if you give it structure, if you give it direction, if you give it clarity and constraints. So all that to say that prompting is the proper language we use to tell an LLM or an AI system about what to think about using RAGs. So like what information to use, what rules to follow, how do we want it to behave, and what kind of output we want out of our prompt, out of our LLM or workflow or an agent. So this is why prompting matters. It's important now and moving forward. Prompting is structure, the structure layer of every intelligent system that we touch. And prompting shows up if in LLMs, in RAG pipelines, in Notebook LLM, if you've ever used that, automations and agentic workflows. So I'm sure you've heard that prompting is king, and it really is, because it's how you direct the cognition inside the AI ecosystem. So without prompting literacy, you can't really build effective workflows that give you the outputs that you are looking for. So prompting is, in short, the way you communicate with the AI brain. And then I really would like to share the framework to prompt correctly so you can get the output that you are looking for. So we have the general prompting framework. So we have instruction, which tells you what you are trying to achieve. Then we must give it context, what what the LLM needs to understand. We need to give it constraints, which are your tone, your brand voice, your rules, the boundaries. And then we have examples. So if you're trying to replicate something that you've already built before, it's super helpful to include that in your prompt as an attachment or as an example. And then we have the output specification. How do you want it? Do you want it in a PDF? Do you want it a certain type of report? So you can be specific in your prompt of how you want your output to look like. And then we have the evaluation loop, which is you can ask your within your prompt, you can include if you want the LLM to kind of rethink itself and argue with itself. And this is really great when it comes to like research, if you're building like two GPTs that talk to each other. So this structure in general is used across AI research labs. It's model agnostic, so it applies in ChatGPT, it applies into Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini, and it works, it's also industry agnostic. And it also works in enterprise ecosystems. So we call these the 5 elements. And the more you are detailed within each of these elements, the AI has less chances to hallucinate or wander. So it grounds the LLM and it gives it direction. And let's actually have some fun with this. So this is from last time. If you recall from our What an LLM Is, we gave it a unstructured prompt that said, act like a B2B SaaS product marketer, compare Notion versus Coda for enterprise, provide the ICP, positioning angles, ad hoc, and a 90-day go-to-market plan. So let me actually copy paste that in the chat so you can pick your favorite LLM. I hope you've figured out which LLM works best for you. And let me throw that in the chat so you can follow along. And I will do the same. And I typically pick ChatGPT. And let's go. If anyone's following along, if you've gotten a faster response than me, just raise your hand because I don't know why my ChatGPT is acting up a little bit. Show me a thumbs up or something. Oh, nice. I think my internet is not feeling well also today. Okay. Well, now that it's populating, we still got a pretty robust output. But if we plug this prompt into that framework, we'll definitely get a more robust response. So let's do that. And I did some cheating, and let me go back to my presentation here. And I added this structure. So I gave it instructions, I gave it context, constraints, I gave it examples, output specification, and an eval loop as well. I have mine populated, and I'll throw this in the chat too, but feel free to like tweak it however you want so we can all get slightly different outputs. Let me first throw this in the chat so you can see on your LLM the difference in details. All right. And you don't have to remember this framework. I'll share the deck with you. And then let me go back to my chat GPT. Ooh, and paste it here as well. So take your time with it. If you want to change some details in the prompt, feel free to do that. Does anybody have their results ready? Mine's clearly taking more time. Okay. So as you can see, it's still populating that. It's given us a pretty robust plan. And the output that we wanted a strategic, competitive comparison between Notion and Coda, and gave it a bunch of specifications and told us how, shared the tone, and how we wanted, which was Gartner style. And we asked for very specific outputs as well. So it definitely took its time and gave us a pretty robust plan. Did anyone change anything in their prompt as you are watching me do this? And I'm hoping that you're also running this exercise on your end as well.
Well, it might be, some customization that you would have made because, I'm just following along exactly, but
Something that you could say, you could change. So I think I asked for Gartner style. You could, if you have an existing report that you've already produced, you could provide that to your LLM by adding an attachment, or if there's a specific style. So if you said create like a 20-page report, or make it deliverable to the CMO, so it'll just do the highlights. So you can pick the style and the output that you would want. You could want a yearly plan, or you could say, I need a 30-day plan that my marketing team can execute on. So it'll give you more actionable items. Just tiny tweaks. You could change the tone as well. You could tell it not to use certain words. Those could be some specifications that could be included in your prompt. So, all right. I know this example is from last time. So I did come up with a new week prompt that I would love for us to work together. And I will have you kind of give it some instructions on your own. We make up as much information as you'd like. This is not real, but I think a really cool way would be to first test this week prompt. So let me throw this in the chat. And then using the framework, which means giving it instructions, context, constraints, tones, rules, boundaries, any examples, output specification. Feel free to kind of play with the prompt and like take your time with it. Let's maybe spend 3 to 5 minutes on this as if you want a really detailed prompt. So all I've given you here is that we're a consumer wellness brand launching a new hydration drink. So if I were to plug that into my chat GPT here, this is what it gives me. So it kind of came up with, a brand narrative, audience segments, targeting, but it doesn't have specific details on who you would like to target. We don't know if we want it for high performers or if we want it for a specific target market. It doesn't really talk about, I don't think it does any competitive analysis, or if this is for awareness or if it's for retail. It doesn't get into super detailed, though it is pretty robust. So following this framework, if you want to add more details, let's spend about 3 to 5 minutes and add some details, some context, if you want, mention some specific words to use or words not to use. And if you are up for it, no one's judging. If you want to share your prompt in the chat, that would be really cool too. Anyone up for sharing their prompt if you have worked on it or you feel satisfied with your prompt?
Sure, I'll share.
Okay, awesome.
Do you want to see the little one first, and then the more?
Yeah, do you want, okay, let me let you present. So let me stop sharing and then go for it, Bill.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Okay. Can you guys see? So I said we are consumer. Well, I'm using Gemini, by the way.
Okay.
We're a consumer wellness brand launching a new hydration drink. Can you create a digital ad campaign for us? Here it is, sort of saying that's exciting, great news, and it says let's hydrate our day. Core audience, primary, secondary, our pillars, to break down a strategy, awareness and intrigue for 2 to 3 weeks. Includes 2 Google products, which is kind of hilarious. And then it goes into consideration, and then conversion and loyalty, and then some basic key performance indicators, and that's it. So that's part 1. Am I tracking with the right sort of info so far? Oh, okay, cool. All right. So then I said, and I tried to use your prompts to be a little more specific. I said, I'm a CMO focused on CTV investment plan for my company that sells a new to market wellness drink. I just kind of did it quickly. You must understand that we need to spend $1 million in 6 months effectively, and our goal is to enroll us in C stores. Constraints are that it must be brand safe and related to health, wellness, and working out. In terms of output, I'm hoping for a media brief that includes a creative angle, timing, budgets, target audience, and campaign parameters. So here's Gemini saying, complimenting me, that's a strategic and well-defined goal. Leveraging CTV is excellent choice. Kind of spitting it back. Here it is, the core objectives. Timeline, KPI. I mean, it's still pretty condensed, you know, but I do see what you mean about it, sort of pulling a little bit more out of this and getting a little bit more specific. It gives me a white list. Okay, and exclusions. It has a fun angle, the 3 p.m. upgrade. That's kind of funny, I guess. Kind of good. Stop the slump, clean lift. Okay, cool. Ad format. And then it gives a rough media plan and some other notes. So
it gave you a formula for something.
Yeah,
nice.
I was trying to trick it. I mean, it's tricky. Media people, ROAS is tricky. Who's in charge? Who says? Who determines that? Is always a big argument, or can be, I should say. But here it gives a basic run through of this. It needs to attribute it, and it's kind of okay. It's pretty good. It's good. Okay, so this is it saying someone else needs to measure it, which is true, and then you need to calculate it and then manage it. So yeah, not bad. I do see the benefit of kind of setting the parameters 100%. Hopefully this is a good walkthrough for everybody.
Yeah, no, this was great. And do you also use ChatGPT, or do you have ChatGPT? I would love for you to kind of plug in the same prompt into a different LLM and just see like what we're getting as a result.
Yeah, I have it in a different browser. So let me come back to me and I'll
okay.
I'll let you know.
I can, let me show my prompt that I came up with first. Just give me 1 second. I will share that real quick. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so let me go back to my prompt. So I gave it, I'm a senior director for a wellness brand looking to build a multi-channel digital ad campaign for a new hydration drink launch. Context was our brand falls under consumer wellness, and our product is a clean ingredient hydration drink. And I gave it some competitors as well. And then I gave it the audience, which is wellness conscious millennials and gym goers. The constraints were the campaign shouldn't make any medical claims, keep the messaging simple, visual forward, platform specific variations. And then for my example, I had plugged in model after campaigns by our competitors, which is Liquid IV and Olipop. Output, I wanted 3 messaging pillars. Give me messaging pillars, 3 creative angles, 6 ad variations, CTAs, and a simple launch plan. So kind of went into ChatGPT, plugged that in. So it started off by giving me the messaging pillar, and it reiterated that it's clear, simple, no medical claims, smarter hydration, clean ingredients, feel good hydration for real life, flavor you actually crave. Then it gave, for the creative angles, clean hydration minus the compromise, your hydration ritual, hydration made tasty. And then also gave me visual styles, which is what I asked for. Then 6 ad variations, platform specific, TikTok Reels, Instagram Carousel, YouTube Shorts, Meta conversion ad, CTA direction, simple, no promise, consumer friendly. So it didn't make any medical claims that I made sure that it wouldn't do. And then here is my multi-channel launch plan. So it broke it down into phases. Looks like 3 phases, starting from day 1 through 7, and then 8 to 21, and then 22 to 45. And then it also gives me what it wants to do next. Whoops, what is that? Okay. And then if I were to put this, I'll use the same one as you, Bill. I'll put this in Gemini. Let's see how the output differs. A lot faster. Gives me the messaging pillars, creative angles, active sidekick. That's cool. Clean ingredient spotlight, visual style. And then it gave me a table for the ad variation versus listing it out. Instagram story. So let's see, it suggests both TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook static ad, Pinterest ad. Okay, interesting, very similar. Google search ad, call to action. And this one only gave, I guess it did break down into 3 converted, let's see, 3 phases as well. What did I say about my launch plan? Okay, so 3 phases. And then if I were to put this back into Cloud, so as I'm comparing these, right, but I'm doing Gemini, Cloud and ChatGPT. I feel like ChatGPT is a little bit more imaginative, persuasive. And if I were to go over to Cloud, okay, very cool. See that it's throwing in some emojis. It's a little bit more cautious, right? Try it risk-free. Shop now, learn more. And then Gemini, I would say, has a better structure. It's like easier to read. So all that to be said, that this is why prompting isn't just memorizing what to say. It's really about learning which LLM works best for you. And like I said, this the prompting part applies in all different LLMs, but you can see how the output differs based on each LLM's strength. And let me go back to my presentation. And then what I also wanted to share was that I also have my version of a framework, which is very similar to the generic structured framework. It's named after my consultancy. So I have, it's called Habit. So I have H is for headline, what you actually want. A is to add context, the information on the model, so it doesn't make up things, right? It's giving more information. And then what I really emphasize on with the clients that I work with is the B stands for brand, boundaries, and behavior. So again, similar to the structured framework, this is where you plug in your tone, your voice, your brand rules, and what to avoid. Instructions for thinking. How do you want the model to think, or how do you want it to structure your work? And then I have T for the type of output that you want, the deliverable that you're expecting, and always the loop part, which means to refine, to critique, and upgrade. So it doesn't really matter which framework you're using. Honestly, if Habit is easier to remember, it covers the same content as the generic framework. So I just wanted to share this Habit framework if that's easier to remember. It's a quick way to remember how you learn prompting if you're very new to it. And that is pretty much a wrap for today, but there are a couple of things that I want you to remember. And that is that if you walk away with one thing, think about that weak prompts come from weak thinking, meaning you're not thinking clearly, and strong prompts come from clarity and structure. It's tool agnostic, and these tools aren't the magic. It's your brain that's the magic. It's the LLM brain, and then your brain, how you structure your prompt. Again, you'll have this deck, so you'll have the frameworks, whether it's the structured framework or the Habit framework. And then I do have some homework, which we call play work, is take a weak prompt or something that you have plugged into an LLM this week and plug that in as is, and then use one of the frameworks, whichever resonates better, into an LLM, and then compare them. And if you have more time, maybe you can even use that prompt into the same prompt into different LLMs and figure out which LLM works best for you. One more announcement is that next class will be in person, and I'll share more details on that with Gage, likely in the West Loop, finalizing location. And next week will be super fun because we'll build a custom GPT together. So if there's a task that you do in your day-to-day or in your 9-to-5, think about what that task is. What is something that you do on a repetitive basis? If there are any tools that you specifically use, we'll build you a custom GPT. We'll follow along. We'll follow the similar framework, and we'll add the tools as well. One caveat is that Custom GPT requires the subscription with ChatGPT. So obviously it's not a requirement, but if you already pay for your ChatGPT, that is included in your subscription. And with that being said, I'll be happy to take any Q&A for today. Yes, Jared.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. This is great. Love prompting has always been not an issue for me because you typically talk to my chat GPT like it's just a regular person sometimes. And it's gotten to know me and it's gotten to know just how my tone of things. But for when I'm using your template, once I get that initial output, do I then have to go back to using that template for each request, or can I then start to talk to it a specific way, if that makes sense? You know, like, do I then have to, fine, it gave me this output, now I have to go back to that prompt template each and every time I have a request?
If it's within the same chat, you shouldn't have to give it too much context, but again, be specific with your question or whatever output you're looking for. What LLM do you use?
I use ChatGPT the most.
Okay. Yeah, with ChatGPT, and do you have the paid version, and just out of curiosity, or do
The
you
paid
use
version?
Okay. So I think you'll find the next lesson, next session super helpful, because we can, whatever you're looking to build or whatever you're using now, we can build a custom GPT, and definitely in that case, you don't have to reiterate number of times, like what your role is, what you're looking for, what tone you're looking for. But if it's sitting within one chat, if you open up a new one, it won't remember everything. So you will have to give it the role and the specifications a little bit more.
Got it. Noted. Thank you so much.
Yep. Hey, Lynn.
Hi there. I have a question. I'm so used to thinking like a journalist, the W5 plus H, who, what, when, where, why, and the how. I would have to change the way I think to adapt your model. Would that be a good model to use as a starting point, the W5 plus H?
Yes, I think as long as you can parse that out into the framework, because it should answer similar questions, right? Like why you're looking, well, who are you, which is included in the instructions. So as long as you're covering those content within the framework, it should be fine.
Thank you.
S.R. Turner.
Hi.
Hi.
That's me. Just sort of a question. I've asked a lot of people about prompts they've created for things. What's the longest prompt that you've ever created? And how long did it take you to kind of get it to where you wanted it to be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say the longest prompt, I don't have the character number or anything, but it sits within a custom GPT, and it does take trial and error, right? So you set up your basic prompt and you test out different things, and then you can also, you'll learn this next week, that you can use your LLM to help you improve your prompt as well, which we'll cover next session as we create our custom GPT. So the longest prompt can be a number, you know, it could be think of like, if you're thinking of a Word document, it can be a Word document and a half or two. And then in my case, I've also added like some brand information from my clients. So adding their data, adding their branding information, that gives it a little bit more color. So then the prompt gets a little bit more detailed. So I would say my longest prompt is probably, if you look at Word document for reference, probably up to 2 pages. And how long did it take me? Trial and error. When I was new to creating custom GPT, I think it took me like a week to get it right. But now if I know the role and you know what we're trying to achieve, I've gotten a lot better.
that's where the framework helps because it
Yes, it'll help you
focus.
structure, and then you can ask questions and you can go back to your prompt and say like, oh my gosh, like I need to actually make sure that it uses XYZ tone or it's not using competitor words or things like that. So you'll continuously refine your prompt.
Yep. Thanks, and hope you feel better.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh,
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this month's programming. And yes, we'll learn more. I think January's date would be January the 5th. So
Oh.
we'll just say that again. Go.
Sorry, Gage. I think we decided because the in-person we're doing January 12th, so it's again the second Monday.
Totally okay. We'll get that right. So we'll send out the invite as
Yes.
we solidify the details.
Absolutely. And I will share the location as well. Probably in the next, by tomorrow, you'll have the location as soon as today's call ends. And then I know it's in the West Loop, so hopefully it's convenient for most people. We'll still have the virtual session, so that doesn't change.
okay.
That'll still happen. But if you're local to Chicago, it's a great way to like meet each other. And since UpTalk is hosting it, we also get to learn about what UpTalk is doing for advertisers, like the product part that they have built. And I'm sort of the brains behind it because I'm their product, fractional product officer. So you can see like how I think when I think of a product. So it'll be a great time and super fun. So if you are able to, hopefully it's not too cold, please come out. We'll have some snacks and drinks as well.
Ooh.
Fantastic. And joining us today is Bill Kenefick from Anoki. So for this last segment, we'd love to invite in, as we've been doing our like industry partners. So they're a partner that I've actually used in the advertising business. So love for Bill to take it away and kind of go into his last little segment for today. So thank you.
Hey guys, thanks to all those who have stuck around for the ninth inning, so to speak. Pleasure to be with you, everybody, and our friends at CIMAi. Gage is right. My name is Bill Kenefick. I work at Anoki, supporting the ad industry, clients, and agencies here in Chicago and across the Midwest. I'm excited to be part of this presentation series, and I particularly picked this one on purpose because of prompting, right? And our company is rooted in AI. It's a big part of it. It has a big connection with connected TV, which if you're in paid media, measurement, or even a consumer, is a big part of all of our lives. But we have a platform and an interface to manage information and how we work, and prompting is a big part of that. So I thought like there was a good synergy with the topic du jour that we are covering. So I am going to share my screen, set the stage a little bit about our company, and then I'm going to get into our actual system, which we call Context IQ. So just a little bit of just establishment of kind of what we do. At Anoki, it's multimodal AI and connected TV. We find among many things that there's a solve that we can answer in terms of the way that connected TV ads are run, in which you have connected TV content followed by an ad that has nothing to do with the actual show you're watching. In this case, a Pampers ad alongside Good Will Hunting, with contextual targeting on CTV. In our case, on the scene level, powered by multimodal AI, we find that we can have more impactful brand campaign and ad experiences and consumer experiences that take multiple components. In this case, 16 different signals, objects, dialogue, music, what's happening in the movie, the art, the nuances, the intimate content, and then enable a targeted ad like here, placed in the perfect spot. So that's a little bit about us in the business end. It's Monday night. We had a great session here. I want to get into our interface and show you what we can do in terms of prompting. So this is what we call Context IQ. It is the interface and tech platform that analyzes connected TV content. And with that understanding, we organize scenes of shows, movies, and so on by the prompting parameters that we decide to then set up an ad campaign. So I think once I click around a little bit, it'll be pretty apparent what we're talking about, and we can have a little bit of fun with what shows up. So this is our interface here. There's the ability to browse for scenes, and we do a little bit of work for people, whether it's internally or externally, meaning we kind of, set the stage in terms of like prompting ideas. So if you want to see content or example scenes that could be a good fit for certain kinds of food and beverage brands and kinds of products, you can do that and search for scenes that make sense for that, right? There is an open prompting system where you can actually search for scenes, kind of like a free prompt like we were just doing a minute ago. So you can do like scenes with, I'm just going to do something that is a warm sort of counterbalance to Chicago right now, scenes with golf courses, scenes with beaches. We can search for these types of scenes, and what our system is going to do is going to scan connected TV content, regardless of title or movie, and just go to that moment or a scene that makes sense based on the prompts that we have. So here you have an example of a show, dramatic landscapes. You've got the channel, the genre, and here, based on our input and our prompt, you can see specific example. Outside, let's feel warm for a minute here. But you can see how in this case, I'm using prompts based on what I want to see or yeah, that's right, Gage. What I want to set up for my campaign, and the medium and the output is not typing back like in a prompt like Gemini, but it's actually there. Yeah, exactly. It's actually video content. So what we're doing is we're bridging the gap between what is being recorded and produced and put together. We're scanning it, and then we're organizing it based on the prompting that we have. Any questions so far? I'm gonna show another feature that is pretty dynamite for this, but anything jump out to anybody? Yes, Veronica.
That's so cool. So it's not AI generated content. It kind of just collects all the data from like stuff that has already been made.
Exactly. Yes, we are in the CTV space. So all the content that you would see when you turn on an LG or a Samsung, all the different channels and things like that, we are analyzing that content at the publisher level and organizing it for our campaigns and partnerships. Exactly.
Awesome. That's so cool. Thank you.
Sure. So the open scene prompter, a lot of fun stuff that can happen here. This is where I sort of handle the give me any question you want, anything. But let's get a little bit more in the business mindset like we were doing in our exercise here. The next thing I want to show is just sort of a prompt with a brand and a type of campaign. So I could just say like, find targeted scenes for a hotel brand. Let's just do Marriott, maybe, I don't know, pick a brand for beach resorts and just say spring break promo, right? This is kind of the stuff I'm dealing with now with kids, and what are we going to do in March or April? I don't know if anyone has been there, but it's pretty active. There's a lot of competition, so let's see what happens. I'm going to prompt it a little bit further. And now our system is going to take these considerations. It's going to look at the brand. It's going to do its best to quickly, and it's pretty good, if not very good, at presenting an understanding of a brief. And it's going to say, okay, with this understanding, these are the kind of scenes that we think could make sense for this kind of campaign. Beach vacations, spring break parties. I don't, maybe this is more of a professional thing. So spring break, we could take that out. Tropical cocktails, and then it's all editable too. So you can add in, we definitely want scenes with boats and beaches, right? Something like that. And then in this case, we can search scenes that make sense. So I'm kind of in the beach theme here. I'm going to switch it up in just a second, but we take a little bit step further, and we're prompting ourselves. We're also using our system to suggest prompts. And so here we are with the curated examples of scenes that could make sense. And by the way, for our media folk here, I just wanted to call out a nice feature. In terms of content and brand safety, we do understand the difference between negative and non-brand safe scenes, where there might be a beach and there's a shark attack or violence or something like that. I had a banking client tell me the other day. So if the difference between a bank robbery scene and just people in the bank, absolutely. So we do take that into consideration. But here we are with a deeper dive into more scenes, so you can see how we're prompting more visual elements that are great. One other feature that I wanted to show you before we run out of time is analyzing creative. So we're sort of free prompting so far. We're suggesting a sort of a business brief mindset. We can just type in anything we want. And by the way, in a second, we can sort of play around and see what happens if you guys want to give me some suggestions. But creative analyzing is a helpful example that takes an actual video creative. So this could be something that somebody gives to me or a partner gives to me, and they say, hey, we're going to launch this campaign soon. What do you think we should do? Where should we run this ad in addition to a campaign for our brand? So in this case, I took a sort of a travel ad for the opposite of beaches, sort of a Wyoming winter example. It's analyzing the ad itself, the outdoor enthusiast in the mountains actually looks very beautiful, not a beach. And let's analyze this. And our system is going to take prompting and understand suggestions for the branded ad itself, and then also the overall example of the brand. So Wyoming may be prompting differently for a campaign in the summer when people are riding horses and it's nice outside and you're camping, under the stars. And then, in the winter, it might be a little bit different. So when we search scenes that make sense for this campaign in particular, we're going to match the feel, right? We've got mountains, we've got outdoor, examples, and we're aligning with that. So, I just wanted to sort of give a little insight into the industry, what's possible with content and connected TV, the intersection of prompting, and also just show you guys something a little bit visual at the end. Hi, Lynn. Happy to
Hi.
answer
Yeah.
your question. Thank you for chiming in.
Thank you. Thank you. Does it then make recommendations based on who your target audience is of where to put these ads?
Yeah, exactly. As our system, we do curation and bundling of all the scenes that make sense, as an example, like here, based on query tags, right? So if I were to work with Wyoming in this example, I would say, let's do a campaign on CTV. And instead of just buying a blanket buy of just connected TV or just all the channels or whatever it is you do, or let's say maybe in addition to that, I can do a campaign that just isolates the scenes that make sense. But by scene, what I mean is an ad break within 2 minutes of this specific moment, right? And we put that together into a contextual campaign for our partners.
So what's to avoid the company giving identical scenes?
Identical scenes.
Like the one I'm seeing, you have the bushes in the front, the water, and then the mountains in the back, or scenes of mountains with snow on them. What's to avoid those kinds of scenes being duplicated from one client to the other?
Okay, so these scenes are already existing in pre-developed content. So this is a show called BBC Earth channel about the Great Wall. So this show is going to be running on connected TV on a schedule every day or every week, no matter what. We're simply organizing the ad breaks that make sense with the contextual prompts. So is there a potential for two different brands to want to be around mountains? Possibly. But we're just essentially curating and refining or filtering the ad slots based on the prompting that we need to do or want to do.
Okay, thank you.
But a really good question. I wonder if she is referring to competitive separation. It could be. There's lots of ways to manage competitive separation. Whether it's on the buy side or campaign management. So yeah, lots of ways to handle that too. Any other questions? Yes, Kajal, yes?
Hi, I had a question. So I'm just referring to the frameworks and setting the tone and things to avoid. So as you're prompting to see a specific video or image, can you specify the things that you don't want to see? So for example, for whatever reason, if I don't want to see mountains or flowers, can I specify that as I'm prompting?
So scenes with mountains.
So let's say if I'm doing I'm just gonna think of like a deodorant ad, right? And
yeah,
there's flowers in every deodorant ad, and I'm just like, I just don't want to see it.
right.
So can I specify that as I'm prompting?
Yeah, let me see. So we do, it's a really good question, actually. I would say in my experience, and I'm a couple months in, so far it's mostly been, I don't know how you would phrase it, but positive prompting. So as opposed to saying not something, we say what we do want.
Okay.
However, okay, yeah, this is, but but not flowers. I can tell you a couple things. The most common example of what we don't want would be things that are not brand safe, right? So explicit content, violent, obscenity, that kind of stuff. So, we do have the ability to restrict things on our back end, and we do this sort of blanket core list of things that any advertiser or media agency or brand, would kind of want in there. However, as an interesting example, there are some gray areas with this. So we have partners who are alcohol brands, and they want to have alcohol on the screen, but they want to only have a certain amount of alcohol, or they can't be imbibing. Or there's literally been a legal review we did where it was, no more than 2 glasses of wine on screen. So in that sense, we have gotten pretty specific, and we can customize it. If there's a way to hack into it in prompting, I can look into that and get back to you. But in terms of our capacity, yes, we have done some pretty ornate filtering.
Okay.
Really good.
Would that be custom for the client, or does that come with as is out of the box?
I think there's a good amount that we can do out of the box, but there's always the option for custom. So,
Okay.
and there's always a little bit of custom for the big campaigns, that's for sure. Yes, Lynn.
Another question about people. To what extent does this model eliminate art directors, creative directors, and copywriters? I'm a recruiter, so I'm just thinking about jobs and people.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Am I still sharing my screen, by the way? I'm kind of lost.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I don't think this eliminates anything. I think if anything, this gives new life to existing content and gives a lot of life to content that's out there. So we need copywriters to give us an understanding of what a campaign is. The best partnerships I have still take a brief and a campaign creative. And to your point, Liz, or Lynn, I'm sorry, the creative analyzer tool still relies on an output of a creative setup. So we still, take a finished product creative, analyze it, and understand ideal places for it to go. So I think if anything, it embellishes or reinforces that side of our business.
Thank you.
Really good question. But yeah, so hopefully I made some new friends tonight. If you guys are interested in what Anoki does or want a deeper tour into this system or more examples, I'm happy to set up time with anybody or send some more information. It's contextual and it's connected TV, and we've got a really powerful interface that makes it accessible. I like that it shows what we're doing in terms of AI in ad tech. Yeah, hopefully there's more good stuff to come. I know there will be in this session, and we all have a great holiday.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Really, this whole session or this whole series is very open to the public. So we're sharing all these on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to head over there. But if you want to reach out to Bill, just look in the contacts of these monthly meetings, and you can reach out directly to him. If you have any side questions for Kajal or I, you should have our contact information. So this is the third of 8. As we continue to ramp up, I'm really excited to for prompting and for doing some custom builds next time. So again, this will be posted 1 week. This recording will be posted 1 week before the next episode. So keep on checking out our YouTube videos, and if anybody's heading to the CIMA holiday party, we'll see you there December 18th, next Thursday. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
all. Bye.
Bye, everyone.